Hello, everyone. I'd like to share some thoughts about an article that I recently wrote this past week for Baptist News Global titled, "Let's Stop Treating the Dignity of Women as a Secondary Issue Good Christians Can Disagree On." It was published on March 22nd, 2023. So I was referring to the story about Rick Warren's Saddleback Church in California. They have hired as one of their teaching pastors a woman, and they are technically they've been a Southern Baptist church, and Southern Baptists have come to a place where overwhelmingly they have major problems with women being pastors. And so there's been a large outcry over this. And the Southern Baptist Convention is even deciding to kick his church out of their convention. So he went on an interview with Russell Moore at Christianity Today to defend his position, and he utilized the Great Commission and the commissioning of sons and daughters to prophesy at Pentecost, as well as Jesus' choice of a woman to preach after the resurrection to the apostles, as his biblical support for why women should be allowed to preach. And he also brought race into the conversation by saying that Black Baptist churches have been ordaining women for many years. And so for Southern Baptists to say that, in order to be a Southern Baptist, you cannot have ordaining women, they're basically saying to these Black Baptist churches, you have no place here. And so Rick Warren, he did a really good job of presenting his biblical case for why women should preach, as well as some of the power dynamics involved in the Southern Baptist resistance to that. However, then he pivoted and he said that this is women's roles is a secondary issue that good Christians can disagree on. And that's where I took some issues with what he said. I understand why he's saying that. This is something that egalitarians often say as a way of getting a seat at the table. Egalitarians want to have a part in the conversation. And so when conservative complementarians say you're all kicked out, they're like saying, hey, can't we talk about this? This is something that we should be able to agree to disagree on. We should be able to have a conversation on. It's just a secondary issue. It's not necessary in order to go to heaven after you die because it's not a salvation issue. And so they basically frame it as the secondary issue. And what I think, though, like, while I understand that desire to have a seat at the table, I think that unfortunately what happens when egalitarians do that is that they're undercutting the power of their argument, and they're actually failing to stand for the dignity of women. Because, and if you think within the Christian paradigm here, if the Great Commission was given to all followers of Jesus, and if men are saying that women can't do half of them, then they're basically saying that women are below human followers of Jesus because they can only do half of what the men can do. And specifically with the teaching and the baptism roles. And so this ultimately is about women's dignity. It's not about a topic called women's roles. It's about women's dignity. And that needs to have a lot more boldness attached to it. That's not a secondary issue. Women's dignity, if you want to say it's a primary issue, you could say that. Or if you want to just completely get rid of the primary to secondary paradigm, I'm totally fine with that too. The point is, Jesus, if you're going to follow Jesus, he said to love your neighbor as yourself. And so in order to do that, men need to love women as themselves. And that means they need to uphold the dignity of women in what women have been called and commissioned to do. And so I realize that at times some of my writing may seem a bit harsh to complementarian men, but I think it's time to stop fooling around being so concerned about offending them. They have postured themselves for many years as being over the entire planet for far too long. And it's time that we say enough is enough, and that we are going to love our neighbors as ourselves.